Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome in. Hello. So we have a new indictment, everyone, out of Wisconsin. This indictment does include Mr. Trump. So we have 3 defendants who have been named. This has just been filed, and actually things are moving so fast I did not even have time to change my toner. So I apologize, but they're just going a little quick right now. So let me just write out what I will be reading here. I do have comments off so I can make it through the entire indictment. I will do a Q&A following. So let's go ahead and go to Wisconsin indictment. And this is for Trump, Chesbro. I always forget. Chesbro. And then Mr. Troupas. So here we go. I have not even annotated this yet, everyone. So I did want to just kind of come in and start reading it, and I'll have a chance to kind of process it later. So welcome in. Again, I do apologize. My toner, I did not even have a chance to change it yet. There's just too many things going on, but I did want to start reading this as soon as possible because this was just hitting the news now. So welcome in, everyone. I will turn on comments for questions after I have finished, but we have an indictment now out of Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin's a little bit interesting here because we had a civil case going on where we had a whole bunch of people and the actual electors that were involved. There was a lawsuit and there was an agreement that came out of it. But today we have a criminal case that has been filed against these 3 defendants here. Oops, hold on, everybody. Hold on. Oh, I had thought Mr. Trump's name was on there. Hold on, let me rewrite. Rewriting. Oh, all right, hold on. Rewriting. This is how quick everything's been. So we have Chesbro, Roman, who is also the other one charged in the Georgia case, and then Troupas. All right, so there we go. Let's make sure we had 2 TR names. So there we go, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started reading through this indictment here. All right, so count 1, conspiracy to commit a crime. So first we have this person being duly sworn on oath, stated upon the information and belief as follows. So I think it's important to note this is not a grand jury indictment. This is trial information. So probable cause still must be found, but we do not have a grand jury that was pulled in for this case. So here we go. Count 1, conspiracy to commit a crime. Between at least as early as on or about November 17th of 2020 and continuing through on or about January 6th of 2021 in Dane County, state of Wisconsin, and elsewhere, the above named defendants, together with other individuals not charged in this complaint, agreed or combined with another with the intent to commit and for the purpose of committing the crime of uttering as genuine a forged writing or object, namely a certificate of votes of the 2020 electors from Wisconsin, knowing it to have been thus falsely made or altered with one or more of the parties to the conspiracy doing an act to affect the objective of the conspiracy in violation of Wisconsin statutes, a Class H felony punishable by a fine not to exceed $10,000 or imprisonment not to exceed 6 years. So we had Class E in New York, here's H in Wisconsin, or both. Statement of probable cause. So this is where they will set out our facts. I am currently employed as a sworn special agent with the Wisconsin Department of Justice and have been employed in this capacity since October of 2012. I have been a law enforcement officer since 2005. I have investigated complex controlled substance investigations, property crimes, assaults, violent personal crimes, other kinds of assaults, homicide, misconduct by public officials, as well as crimes I have received specialized training in. and so on. I helped prepare this complaint in collaboration with the legal counsel from the Wisconsin Department of Justice and swear to it upon information. Again, that's another way that we charge other than grand jury indictments. And belief based upon my training and experience, my personal knowledge, information provided to me by fellow law enforcement personnel, and so on. This complaint's a summary of facts to establish probable cause, because the complaint does not contain all the facts known to me relating to this investigation. So here we go. Let's hop into the process here. All right, the process for certifying presidential election results. According to the U.S. Constitution, the President and Vice President of the United States are chosen by electors from each state. The number of presidential electors in Wisconsin is equal to the number of senators and representatives in Congress at the time, citing the Constitution, Wisconsin statute. And then we have a footnote here. The citation in this complaint are the versions of Title III of the United States Code as it existed during the period from and then we have a footnote here. The citation in this complaint are the versions of Title III of the United States Code as it existed during the period from. So Wisconsin voters elect 10 electors for the presidential election. The election of the presidential electors occurs through the statewide popular vote for the office of president and vice president. Although the names of the electors do not appear on the ballot and no reference is made to them, a vote for the president and vice president named on the ballot is a vote for the electors of the candidates for whom the electors' vote is cast, citing Wisconsin law. Wisconsin law further provides that a vote for the president and vice president nominations of any party is a vote for the election of the nominee. Under federal law, the governor of each state must certify who the appointed presidential electors are. The governor's certification, sometimes referred to as the certificate of ascertainment, must set forth the names of the appointed electors and the number of votes cast by the appointed electors. The governor must sign and transmit the certificate to the United States Archivist on or before the first Monday of the second Wednesday in December. For the 2020 presidential election, the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December was Monday, December 14th of 2020. Wisconsin law requires the governor to deliver the certificate to the appointed presidential electors by no later than the same date, the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. Because state and federal law both require the appointed electors to meet on this date, requiring the meeting to occur at noon at the state capitol on that date, requiring appointed presidential electors to meet and give their votes on that date. In a statutory provision entitled Presidential Electors Meeting, Wisconsin law provided as follows. The electors for the president and vice president shall meet at the state capitol following the presidential election at 12 noon the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. If there is a vacancy in the office of an elector due to unalive, refusal to act, failure to attend, or other cause, the electors present shall immediately proceed to fill by ballot by a plurality of votes the Electoral College vacancy. When all electors are present or the vacancy is filled, they shall perform the required duties under the Constitution and laws of the United States. Federal law defines the process that appointed presidential electors must follow. The duties of the presidential electors include the following. Again, I think it's important to take the time here to go through what the law is. A, to vote for the president or vice president. 3 U.S.C. Section 8 in Wisconsin law requires the electors to vote for the candidate of the party that nominated the electors. Wisconsin Statute 7.752. B, to make and sign 6 certificates of their votes from the meeting, each certificate containing 2 distinct lists, one of the votes for president and the other the votes for vice president. C, to seal the certificates and certify that the certificates contain the votes for president and vice president. And D, to dispose of the certificates by delivering them as follows. Now, here's the protocol for that. 1 copy to the President of the U.S. Senate. 2 copies to the Secretary of State for Wisconsin. 3 copies to the Archivist of the United States. And 4 1 copy to the federal judge of the district where the electors met. Wisconsin law defines the process for challenging the general election results. Following a petition for recount by an aggrieved candidate, appeals can be taken to the circuit court and to ultimately the Wisconsin Supreme Court. setting that procedure out in Wisconsin statute here. This recount and appeal process is the exclusive judicial remedy for testing the right to hold an elective office as a result of an alleged irregularity, defect, or mistake committed during the voting or canvassing process. Federal law provides that if there is any controversy or contest concerning the appointment of the electors, and there's a final determination in a state in the manner provided for by law, for resolving that controversy or contest, the governor must send a certification of that final determination, sometimes referred to as the Certificate of Final Determination, as soon as practicable to the Archivist of the United States. Federal law sets forth a process for objecting to electoral votes at the joint session of Congress, where the electoral votes are counted, held every fourth year on January 6th. In 2020, federal law stated that when more than one return of electoral votes from a state was presented to Congress, the votes counted were those from the electors who were appointed via 3 U.S.C. Section 5 and State Statute 3 U.S.C. Section 15. In addition, federal law provided that when the two houses of Congress disagreed whether to accept the votes of the electors from a particular state, then the votes of the electors whose appointment was certified by the governor were the ones to be counted. So, gotta be certified by the governor, everybody. The 2020 presidential election and subsequent legal challenges in Wisconsin. On November 3rd of 2020, an election was held for President and Vice President of the United States, with Donald Trump and Michael Pence as the Republican Party candidates, Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris as the Democratic Party candidates. On November 4th of 2020, the Associated Press reported that Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris won the election in Wisconsin. Thereafter, the Trump campaign announced it would request a recount in Wisconsin. And here's the article down here. On November 18th of 2020, Donald Trump and Michael Pence filed a petition with the Wisconsin Election Commissions requesting a recount in Dane County and Milwaukee County. On November 30th of 2020, the WEC chair issued a statement of canvass certifying that the 10 presidential electors for Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris received the greatest number of votes in the election. On November 30th of 2020, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers executed a certificate of ascertainment, determining and certifying that the Biden-Harris electors received the greatest number of Evers executed a certificate of ascertainment, determining and certifying that the Biden-Harris electors received the greatest number of. On December 3rd of 2020, Donald Trump, Michael Pence, and the Trump campaign filed lawsuits in Dane County Circuit Court and Milwaukee County Circuit Court, seeking to invalidate a sufficient number of Wisconsin ballots to change Wisconsin's certified election results. And we have footnote 3 here. And then there is the lawsuit listed. The two cases that were consolidated into one case in Milwaukee County Circuit Court. On December 11th of 2020, in the state case, the Circuit Court affirmed the WEC's decision certifying the election results. On December 12th of 2020, in the federal case, the District Court granted the motion to dismiss filed by the WEC and dismissed the lawsuit. On the morning of December 14th of 2020, the Wisconsin Supreme Court affirmed the Circuit Court's judgment in the state's case. Footnote 4 here. On December 21st of 2020, Governor Evers executed a certificate of final determination concerning presidential electors. And then it says here to see Exhibit G. In the certificate, Governor Evers confirmed that the Biden-Harris electors had received the highest number of votes cast for presidential electors. So there you go on that. That was number 4. The unappointed elector plan. On November 17th of 2020, an attorney acting outside counsel for the Republican Party of Wisconsin, RPW, sent an email to organize a conference call with several individuals, including defendants James Trupus and Kenneth Chesbrough. Now we have number 5 here for a footnote. Chesbrough, Doc 0900, on December 20th of 2023. I participated in an interview of Kenneth Chesbrough. In connection with the interview, counsel for the defendant, Chesbrough, produced various documents, including PDFs labeled with file names with numeric designations. During the interview, some of the documents were marked as exhibits, In this complaint, I will refer to those documents as Chesbro Doc XXX, where the XXX is the numeric designation in the file name of the PDF produced by counsel for defendant Chesbro is the exhibit number of the document marked as the exhibit for the interview. In the interview, defendant Chesbro stated that although he had a Twitter account, he did not send messages through it. Per a CNN K-file investigation, defendant Chesbro appears to have sent numerous messages during the time period relevant to this complaint, using a Twitter account named Badger Pundit. Defendant Trupus and defendant Chesbro are attorneys who represented the Trump campaign at the time in connection with the recount in Wisconsin. Following the conference call, defendant Chesbro emailed a memorandum dated November 18th of 2020 to defendant Trupus and others titled "The Real Deadline for Settling a State's Electoral Votes." Footnote 6 down here. We just have citations now to documents. In the memorandum, referred to in this complaint as the November 18th memorandum, defendant Chesbro argued that electors representing Donald Trump and Michael Pence should meet and cast their votes on December 14th, 2020, to preserve the Trump-Pence electoral slate in the event of a court decision or perhaps a state legislative determination rendered after December 14th in favor of Trump-Pence slate of electors. On November 25th of 2020, defendant Trupus sent the November 18th memorandum to an individual affiliated with the Trump campaign, noting, quote, "Feel free to contact me or Ken Chesbro if you have any questions," end quote. Again, we are just citing to documents here with these footnotes. In the early morning hours of December 7th of 2020, defendant Chesbro emailed another memorandum to defendant Trupus, dated December 6th of 2020, this one titled, quote, "Important that all Trump-Pence electors vote on December 14th, end quote. In the memorandum referred to this complaint, is December 6th memorandum, defendant Chesbro reiterated that the Trump-Pence electors should meet and vote on December 14th of 2020. Defendant Chesbro further explained in the memorandum that Trump-Pence elector votes could be counted by Vice President Pence at the joint session of Congress on January 6th of 2021, so long as a court challenging was still pending, even if Trump has not managed by then to obtain court decisions or state legislative resolutions invalidating enough results to push Biden below 270, the number of electoral votes needed to win the election. Defendant Chesbro noted that the strategy he suggested was bold and controversial. After receiving the December 6 memorandum, defendant Trupus sent an email to defendant Chesbro telling him that defendant Trupus planned to get the December 6 memorandum circulated at the White House. And then we've just, again, got another document citation. Defendant Trupus also sent a separate message to defendant Chesbro, quote, "I have sent it to the White House this afternoon, the real decision makers," end quote. And then we have 11 here, and I'll go ahead and jump down to footnote 11. Chesbro texts listed here. Counsel for defendant Chesbro also produced to the Wisconsin Department of Justice copies of text messages involving defendant Chesbro, which the Wisconsin Department of Justice subsequently Bates labeled. In this complaint, I will refer to these text messages as the Chesbro texts and the ones that are just with X's as the Bates number documents. All right, so on December 7th of 2020, defendant Trupus sent a November 18th memorandum and December 6th memorandum to a Trump campaign consultant, referred to in this complaint as Individual A. In the email sending the memorandum, defendant Trupus stated in part, "Here are 2 memos I had prepared for me on appointing a second slate of electors in Wisconsin. There's no need for the legislators to act. The second slate just shows up at noon on Monday and votes and then transmits the results. It's up to Pence on January 6th to open them." On December 8th of 2020, defendant Chesbro and defendant Trupus sent defendant Trupus an email with further thoughts on how leverage might be exerted at joint session of Congress on January 6th of 2021. In connection with having the electors send an alternate slate of votes, one of the points defendant Chesbro made in his email was court challenges pending on January 6th, really not necessary. In response, defendant Trupus emailed defendant Chesbro stating in part, "This is an excellent summary of the end game. Thank you." On December 9th of 2020, individual A emailed defendant Trupus asking him whether he could prepare a sample elector ballot for Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. Defendant Trupus forwarded this email to defendant Chesbro and others, asking defendant Chesbro whether he would be able to do this, to which defendant Chesbro responded, "Oh, absolutely." And then here we are just citing to documents. On December 9th of 2020, defendant Chesbro emailed defendant Trupus a memorandum referred to in this complaint as December 9th, titled Statutory Requirements for December 14th Electoral Votes, with instructions for the Trump-Pence elector meetings on December 14th of 2020. On December 10th of 2020, defendant Trupus sent an email to defendant Chesbro, attached a draft of the elector certificate to be signed on December 14th, 2020, by the Trump-Pence electors, saying, "Please review." Later that day, defendant Chesbro sent defendant Trupus back a revised draft of the certificate. In response, defendant Trupus sent an email to defendant Chesbro asking him about how the elector names should be listed on the certificate. On December 11th of 2020, individual A sent a message to defendant Chesbro and defendant Michael Roman, who was working for the Trump campaign. In the message, individual A said, "Ken, need you to call Mike Roman, copied ASAT, and fill him in on the whole lay of the land." Shortly thereafter, defendant Chesbro sent an email to defendant Roman, attaching documents related to the Trump-Pence electors in Pennsylvania, as well as copies of the November 18th memorandum and December 9th memorandum. On December 11th of 2020, defendant Chesbro emailed defendant Trupus, copying individuals associated with the RPW, attaching the certificates to be signed on December 14th of 2020 by the Trump-Pence electors from Wisconsin, along with the documents relating to the meeting. Later that evening, defendant Chesbro sent the documents to individuals affiliated with the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee, copying defendant Roman. On December 11th of 2020, defendant Chesbro emailed individuals affiliated with the Trump campaign and Republican National Committee, copying defendant Roman to clarify the status of my work. In the email, defendant Chesbro stated in part, quote, "Jim Trupus, lead counsel in Wisconsin, have Wisconsin well in hand." Jim was the one who floated early on the idea of the electors voting on December 14th. On December 11th of 2020, in a petition to the Wisconsin Supreme Court in the state case signed by defendant Trupus, the Trump plaintiffs mentioned the December 14th meeting of Trump-Pence electors in a footnote stating, we'll go into the footnote here, "Following the recommended approach to situations involving court challenges in presidential elections which are not resolved by the time the presidential electors must cast their votes, pursuant to Article 1, Section 1, Clause 4, and 3 U.S.C. Section 7 this year, December 14th, the Trump-Pence campaign has requested its electors to sign and send to Washington on that date their votes to ensure that their votes will count on January 6th if there is a later determination that they are the duly appointed electors for Wisconsin." This practice dates back to as far as 1960, when the Kennedy electors in Hawaii voted on the date of the Electoral College. I will pause at this moment, everybody. I have read this so many times. I am going to fast forward through it, okay? So here we go. December 14th meeting, and we will fast forward. On December 12th of 2020, individual A sent a message to defendant Chesbro and defendant Roman, asking in part, does VP have ultimate authority on which the slate of electors should be chosen? Defendant Chesbro responded in part, a very good argument can be made that the President and the Senate, Vice President Pence, both opens and counts the votes. On December 12th of 2020, defendant Chesbro and defendant Roman exchanged messages about the language in the certificates to be signed by the Trump-Pence electors, as pictured below, with messages from defendant Chesbro on the right and responses from defendant Roman on the left. And I apologize for my toner situation. I still just have not had a chance to change it. Mike, I think the language at the start of the certificate should be changed in all of these states. Let's look at the language carefully. I don't. I can help with drafting a couple hours. F these guys. Very professional. On December 12th of 2020, Defendant Chesbrough sent Defendant Roman tweaked language for the certificate to be signed by the Trump-Pence electors in Pennsylvania. The tweaked language that Defendant Chesbrough proposed for the certificate was that the electors might later be determined as the duly elected and qualified electors. Defendant Chesbrough stated in the email, "It strikes me that if inserting those few words is a good idea for Pennsylvania, it might be worth suggesting to electors in other states." And had they would not be in criminal court now. In the early morning of December 13th of 2020, Defendant Chesbrough sent Defendant Roman documents for the Trump-Pence electors in New Mexico with the new qualifying language at the start of the certificate. Defendant Chesbrough stated it might be a good idea to have it added to all states. No qualifying language was ever added to the Trump-Pence elector documents for Wisconsin. On December 13th of 2020, Defendant Chesbrough sent a message to Defendant Roman stating, December 14 votes are going in, sets up the possibility that the President of the Senate, maybe not Pence, maybe he recuses, and it's Grassley or next person in line who's willing to do this on January 6th, taking the position, well supported by the 12th Amendment in the historical era in which it was enacted, that according to the original understanding of the Constitution, he has the sole power to open and count the votes, and he won't count any state where there was never careful, deliberate hearings on the merits with evidence on asserted irregularities, either in court or the legislature. Only Supreme Court could override that, because he'd refused to open the envelopes of 6 states unless the court orders him, at minimum buying time. If not overruled, he could force hearings in the states, but time would quickly run out, and the state legislatures would have to appoint electors if they wanted to be counted and avoid the election being thrown to the House. If Nancy then refused to hold a vote, Senate would re-elect Pence, vice president, and he would become the acting president on January 20th. That's the possible endgame I saw early on, which is why the December 14th vote is so critical. I will now write up a brief memo on President of the Senate. Well, that is quite the scheme, everybody. Yikes. On December 13th of 2020, Defendant Chesbrough sent a message to Defendant Troopas stating that, in part, that Defendant Chesbrough was working on a memo about the endgame in Congress. Later that same evening, on December 13th of 2020, Defendant Troopas sent a message to Defendant Chesbrough asking, "Is everything under control for tomorrow's electors' votes?" Chesbrough responded that it was, and that other states are all fine, noting that he answered questions from individuals in Pennsylvania and Arizona and Georgia. Defendant Troopas responded, "Good, just want to make sure we preserve our options here without regard to what Wisconsin Supreme Court rules." Yikes. The unappointed elector meeting on December 14th, 2020, the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December, the 10 appointed electors met in the state capitol at noon, as contemplated by both federal and state law. At that meeting, the appointed electors cast 10 electoral votes for Joseph Biden for president and Kamala Harris for vice president, consistent with the duties outlined in U.S. Code Section 7 through 11. At approximately the same time on December 14th of 2020, 9 of the 10 Wisconsin previously selected electors for Donald Trump and Michael Pence also met at the state capitol. At that meeting, these 9 previously selected Trump-Pence electors voted to elect a 10th individual who was also present at the meeting as Trump-Pence electors due to an absence that created a vacancy. For purposes of this complaint, the Trump-Pence electors who met at the state capitol on December 14th will be referred to as the unappointed electors, and their meeting at the state capitol on December 14th of 2020 will be referred to as the unappointed elector meeting. Although he was not one of the unappointed electors, Defendant Chesbrough attended the unappointed elector meeting. I have reviewed a video produced to the Wisconsin Department of Justice by Defendant Chesbrough of the meeting. The unappointed electors then voted by ballot for president and vice president. Certificates of votes here, December 14th, enclosed as Exhibit E, referred herein as unappointed elector certificate. The certification of that vote read in part, we, the undersigned here, are voting for Mr. Trump. So I'll save my voice for a moment. The unappointed elector certificate contains a signature block with a signature from each of the unappointed electors. The unappointed elector certificate reflects that one of the unappointed electors, referred to in the complaint as Individual B, acted as the chairperson for purposes of the unappointed elector meeting. The unappointed electors were never appointed by Governor Evers to serve as presidential electors. The unappointed elector certificate did not contain any statement making it contingent in any way. One of the documents prepared by Defendant Chesbrough in connection with the meeting was a transmittal memorandum which stated, pursuant to 3 U.S. Code Section 11 enclosed, please find duplicate originals of Wisconsin's electoral votes for president and vice president. The memorandum was addressed to the President of the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Archivist. The Wisconsin Secretary of State and the Chief Federal Judge in the Western District of Wisconsin. The memorandum did not contain any statement making the unappointed elector certificate contingent in any way. During or around the time of the unappointed elector meeting, Defendant Chesbrough sent separate identical messages to Defendant Trupus and Defendant Roman saying, Wisconsin meeting of the real electors is a go. During or around the time of the unappointed elector meeting, Defendant Chesbrough also sent separate messages to Defendant Trupus and Defendant Roman attaching a photograph of the meeting. Defendant Trupus responded with a thumbs up emoji. The following day, Defendant Chesbrough sent separate messages to Defendant Trupus and Defendant Roman attaching a video of an unappointed elector meeting. Following the December 14, 2020 meeting of the unappointed electors, Individual B issued the following statement. Quote, while President Trump's campaign continues to pursue its legal options for Wisconsin, Republican electors met today in accordance with statutory guidelines to preserve our role in the electoral process, with the final outcome still pending in the courts. At the time of the unappointed elector meeting, no court had issued any ruling that impacted the outcome of the presidential election in Wisconsin. All right, everybody, we're going to fast forward again here just a little bit. I do want to get to the charges, and I do have to save my voice. I am planning to go live later today. So we had further planning for use of the unappointed elector certificates set out here, and then we have all of these quotes from different texts here, from back and forth from Chesbrough. I think that's interesting. I would like to spend some more time on that in a post in the future. Subsequent delivery of the unappointed elector certificate. So then it was actually delivered here. Subsequent interviews and testimony. So other people who were involved in this whole process. It looks like interview on 60 Minutes was also reviewed. Wisconsin Elections Commission complaint. So on February 15th, a complaint was filed alleging that the actions of the unappointed electors violated Wisconsin law. And then we have the end of her affidavit here, her sworn statement. All right, so that's that. And then what they've included, we have different exhibits in here. These are some different sections of the United States Code, which was included in my toner. Statement of canvass here by the Wisconsin Elections Commission is included. The WEC Canvas reporting system is also included in this. So for all of the counties here in Wisconsin, I'm not sure if that's all of them actually. Is that all? It seems like Wisconsin has more counties than that. Oh, there's quite a few. Okay. Next, we have Tony Evers, Certificate of Ascertainment for President, Vice President, Presidential Electors, General Election here. So that's that official Certificate of Ascertainment that we talked about on who has been approved of being candidates, and this was not. And then we've got Tony Evers here, as well as the Secretary of State signature. And also we have a seal. I think the seal is something that people may have forgotten. Those were not on the fake ones, of course. And then we have certificate of filling a vacancy here. And then all of the names of the people that were involved in that situation. Also, memorandum, another certificate here. So that's all I have at this point, everyone. I've got count 1, conspiracy to commit a crime. Now hold on 1 second. Let me just see if I've got any more pages coming. I will go ahead and turn on comments here. Again, this is really just kind of like late breaking at the moment, so I really only have a certain amount. I'm going as quick as I can. All right then. Well, there we go. That's what we have so far as the update out of, well, Emperor Wolfpack. I have multiple posts on his indictment and updates on my Tube of You, but I've got so many trials going on, you know. I've also got Menendez going on as well. Hunter Biden, just yesterday, they picked a jury, so there's really not much going on until today, and it's probably only been going for a couple of hours, so I don't have much. I don't have much going on with the Biden situation yet, much like the very first days of the Trump trial. Yes, Wisconsin. Yes, hard E. Okay, Evers. Evers? Is that right? Evers? Oh my goodness. They suggested to use, they did. So the Wisconsin form, everybody, is the form that was used across the board, which of course, every state's form's a little bit different. So I do not know who A and B are. So exciting. Oh, yes, of course. Evers. Okay, okay. Thank you. Long E. Okay, okay. Evers. Like beavers, right? Evers? Okay, okay. Oh, my bad, my bad. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yes, well, it's very interesting. And, you know, again, we've just got another state with our fake electors coming in. And again, this is not a grand jury situation. This is the criminal complaint itself. So we still have a lot more information coming, but this is the probable cause that's been set out. Right, right. So there will be more coming in. You know, it's interesting too because I know Chesbro had some kind of a deal. He did take a plea deal in Georgia, but he's been kind of, you know, flying around and testifying or flying around and working with multiple states. So it will be interesting to see what happens. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to move next because we've got the complaint first with the probable cause that's being set out, and then we'll see what the next step is. Love from Minnesota. Oh, hello, hello. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure in the whole plot. Yeah, I'm not really sure who pulled how Roman was also involved, but you know, he was fully involved in the Georgia case too. So he's been charged in Georgia as part of those electors as well. So this document, that's a great question. So I found it, actually Hawk gave me a site which pulled it up. But this is going to be the case number here. So if you go online and you put in this case number, you're going to be able to find it. All right. Now, again, it's just happened within the last couple of hours, the last few hours. So you may need to wait just a little bit. In Arizona too. Yeah, I think you're right, Daisy. Yeah, I think he was. I think he was charged there too. Yeah, so you're gonna put in this case file number and you should be able to get some information. But again, it may take a few more hours here for everything to come through. I just kind of wanted to get this information out so that people were aware of what's going on rather than for anyone who's looking for information on this rather than just a news story. Pennsylvania, oh, hello, 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 Wisconsin. Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, you know, I've dabbled in their courts, and they do seem They do, yes, yes, Doughboy. We just don't have a lot more information yet here. This is really all that's been made public at the moment. So we will be following up greatly. Oh, of course, of course. So the three that are listed here, we have Chesbro, Roman, and Trupus. But it looks like we've got direct text and phone or text messages, which we don't have in any of the other cases. We don't have this level of detail in any of the other cases between these texts between these guys here. So I think that will be a very interesting element. We've got a lot more information or specific details because of these texts. That will be interesting to follow. Yeah, any more states? Good question. So, oh, it's a good question. I can't think yet of who's left at this point. I don't think Pennsylvania's going to go forward, joining. Oh, hello from Montana. I don't think Pennsylvania's going to go forward. Let's pull out that cases here. So we had Arizona. Here's our swing states. We had Arizona, we had New Mexico, we had Nevada, we had Pennsylvania, we've got Michigan. Who else do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then of course we've got Wisconsin. So they were 6. I thought we had 7. Didn't we have 7? Who am I missing? Yes, I'm reading the complaint. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Georgia. Oh my gosh, of course. How could I forget Georgia? Oh my gosh, everybody. Shame on me. Probably because it's such a huge RICO case. All right, so of course we have Georgia. Now we've got Wisconsin filed. We have Arizona that's filed. And then I can't remember, was it New Mexico or Nevada that was filed? I can't remember. Yes, I'll put it up on my Tube of View. I've been really posting a lot on my Tube of View, so I'll put this up on my Tube of View as well. So yes, no, we've got Wisconsin filing against some co-conspirators for the false electors here. Right, right. So this is where we're at. So I don't think we've got, the only place that I think, Michigan's, I'm not sure about Michigan. And then I can't remember which one of these. One of these did as well. Good morning. Mess of motion, so the charges got lost. Oh, I know. It is a mess. Michigan. Okay, Michigan. All right. Got it. Got it. Insane. Oh, I know. Who else can we surmise was part of the coup? Oh, that's a good question. We've got a lot in there. I think, again, one of the most valuable things really in all of this, if you really want to know, other than I think it's great, each case gives us another piece of the puzzle. But the grand jury indictment, the special grand jury in Georgia, not the regular, but the special, because I think people forget we actually had 2 grand juries because she wanted to be extra for sure before they filed and went forward. So the first special grand jury results came out, and they had a ton of people that weren't charged. So she only picked a third of the people, not even a third, I think a fourth of the people who were actually suggested to be charged out of Georgia. So I think that's special. Their law didn't allow charging. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So New Mexico will not be charging. So let's just line through them here. And then I know Pennsylvania is not going to be charging. So I think this is it. I think this is who we've got. Yeah, because of the clause. Yeah, Pennsylvania had the clause. So that special, I should do a reading on that special grand jury. Actually, I think I have that up on my Tube of You channel, everybody. The Georgia special grand jury findings, and I think I went through each one of them as well. Each one of the people. Was it Wisconsin or Michigan? Found the same. It was Wisconsin. It was Wisconsin's form that was used for everybody. Now, Wisconsin and Georgia's forms were similar, but it was clear that Georgia had a different form, and that's one of the reasons too. So I think I also have a post up on my Tube of You that actually goes through the false documents and compares them to the real documents. So if you're interested in that, I do have that post up as well. And you can see how clear what the false ones are versus what the real ones were. You did remember. Oh, woohoo! Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. You really got to pick your situations here because I mean, look at what's happening in Georgia. Georgia came out swinging, and, there's a lot of work that's going to be going on there. So, I liked my personal favorite so far has been Arizona's. Arizona's indictment, I thought was the best written. I liked my personal favorite so far has been Arizona's. Arizona's indictment, I thought was the best written. And there's one thing to have probable cause, it's another thing to have beyond a reasonable doubt. And in these kinds of cases, if you don't think you can pull it to beyond a reasonable doubt, it would just absolutely be a life ruiner to just toss that probable cause. That's one of the things everyone's like, oh, you can indict a ham sandwich. And I get it. But in cases of these magnitudes, like you don't want to be taking that ham sandwich through trial because it's not going to be good anymore. So you don't want to indict a ham sandwich on these cases. You need to make sure they're solid because they're going to be contested. We don't have cases here where we're going to be pleading people out. No, these are going to go the full distance. So we got to make sure your probable cause is solid enough to get you through the trial. The delay in Georgia, but it's a different. Oh, I know. Well, yes, and he's got a lot of stuff going on there in Georgia. Apparently, also his question about. Oh yeah, that's true enough. Yeah, there's just a lot going on, everybody. I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. So with Wisconsin now filing, wait, did we already determine we had Michigan? We keep waiting on Michigan, don't we? Haven't we been waiting on Michigan? I think Michigan's the only one left, right? It is. It's overwhelming. Right. October hearing for Funny. Yes, I think so. I knew it was during the August term, which just means August, September, October, and November, one of those 4 months. So briefly summarize. Sure. Well, we just have another fake elector scheme that has been, the complaint's been filed now officially. Okay, not Michigan. So Michigan's the only one that's left. So we have the official complaint filed now in Wisconsin. So it looks like Michigan is our last one. I thought they filed it too, but I'm not sure. Has they filed? Okay, they have filed. All right, everybody. I've got my homework set out. Check on Michigan. I probably have already read it even. I probably even read it live, everybody. That's where we're at with this situation. Not only do they have it, I've read it and we've discussed it. All right, so we are waiting. Okay, we are? I don't know. I don't know yet. Okay, Wisconsin just filed. So Michigan has already filed. Okay, Navy vet. Navy vet has the defining word. All right, Navy vet, you got it. Too many. I know. There's too many cases. How can we keep it all straight? I know. And just wait until the lawsuits. I mean, I can't even keep all the oh my gosh, the lawsuits, everybody. I can't even keep them all straight. We've got, we've got Powell, we've got Giuliani, we've got Fox, we've got, oh my gosh, they're just jumping on the Blessing Game case out of the DC where they're suing for January 6th. Like, that's huge. That's a huge case. So, soon in the future, oh, I know. Will affect us other cases. No, not necessarily. The only thing that it would affect may be the sentencing because he's going to have a prior record now, right? So everyone knows in New York, they're like, oh, well, he doesn't have a prior record. I'm going to just move my sheet of shame over here since I can't remember. But how everyone's saying, oh, well, he doesn't have a criminal record, so he might not go to jail, blah, blah, blah. But now he's got a criminal record. He officially now has a criminal record. So that's how that could be used for sure. And Angron and each, of course. Michigan's already filed. Okay, all right. See all the defendants. Emotional damage, I know. Get a J6 trial. The DC case, yes. So the Supreme Court's going to be sending out their opinions. Everybody watch on Thursdays, Thursday mornings. They will, Thursday mornings for the rest of this month, they've got to get the rest of their opinions out before they go for summer break. They can use other charges during sentencing. Yes, yes. We should do a class action for trauma. Oh, I know. Trauma. Any of the other cases use repeat offender for sentencing? No, because each one is in its own separate jurisdiction, and they're their own separate filing. So even though Florida and DC are federal cases, they're filed in different sections of the code. Looking for a site tracking the fake electors. Have not found it yet. Yeah. Well, let me know if you find it, Navy Vet. I had been tracking it for a while, but, after tracking all of those 14th Amendment cases, I had to really prioritize. I had to set it down and say, look, I can't just follow all these. And I still have a file of all of the people who were convicted in J6 too. So, at some point you just have to call it. Yeah, Lawfare's a good one, Suze. That is a really good one. So Lawfare was excellent. Here's what works, the places that I really like to look at. And there's another one called Just Security, but I'm not sure exactly what it's called. But it's like Just Security, blah, 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 blah. And they do a really good job of tracking cases also. So, but for those of you watching like a hawk on what's going on with SCOTUS, I highly recommend SCOTUS blog because they are on top of it. NPR, excellent. NPR does do good work. So yeah, but whatever you do, don't do CNN. All right, CNN's not your friend. All right. CNN, that's just bad business. And I'm not saying that to bully or be mean to anybody. I'm just stating facts. Facts are facts. So CNN, not your friend. So don't be looking up your law news there. That's no good. Oh my gosh. Right. So NPR, PBS is always, good. The PBS NewsHour. Some people are like, what? It's no bueno. Oh, I know. I mean, come on. We have our places that we like and our places that we don't like, but they are just giving factually incorrect information, and that drives me bonkers. So, I mean, I think it's fun for the kind of like shock and awe, like, whoa, that was really wrong kind of moment. But other than that, Huck hates that one guy in CNN. Well, I feel so bad for CNN. Does anyone remember when, what was it? Melissa she was Sean Spicer, right? And we all needed this so desperately. And she came out and was like doing the press conference and she nailed it. And then in the corner, there was a guy in a cage and he was like CNN. And he's like, we're not fake news. And I just felt so bad for CNN after that. But I tell you what, I've been watching the CNN. That's just not true. Not a good source. Well, I would say, all right, it depends. It depends on what you're looking for. As an attorney, when I listen to them doing legal analysis, they have, I think, maybe one or two people that are kind of right, but other people completely incorrect. They're misstating the law. And for me, that's like a big no-no. I'm like, do we read the same law? Because I'm looking at it right now. And so that's incorrect. So that's really it, Lance. I have nothing personal against CNN, but when it comes to their legal analysis, I think that they are lacking in having a true legal discussion and things along those natures because the people that they have aren't reading it correctly. I thought it was crazy. No, Lance, you're not crazy. Empty wheel. No, I haven't. I should take a look at that. I need to kind of broaden my horizons here, but I'm so busy printing. Getting toner out of my eye. Now owned by a right-leaning conservative. Really? I go to Hawk. Well, of course you got to go to Hawk. High fives for Hawk. CNN is Fox Light. Ew. Oh my God. Actually, let me just say, I'm not going to say that I agree with all of the Fox analysis, But there have been times when I've been on and I've actually heard what people have said, some of their reporters, I don't know what segments or whatever. And I've been like, okay, yeah, that's right. I'm not really having that same vibe with CNN. So that's when I was like, wow, I need to I need to move it. I need to get a pair. Oh, I know, everybody. Oh, I tell you what, I just like I have like each of the files now are getting so huge. I have them tucked under my kitchen table, and we're sitting down for dinner, and my significant other like banged his shin on one, and not a shin, but you know what I mean. He hit one with his leg, and he was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's Georgia." Like, don't knock it over. Like, I'll get it moved. Just a minute. Oh my goodness. Yep, it's a lot. Ground news, really? Okay, let me write that one down. Sure, I'll take a look at that one. That's so funny. Inflated resumes to get jobs. Yeah. You brought us to dinner. Well, it was under the table. I have I feel like the space under a table is like underutilized resources, right? So I have all kinds of stuff under my table. So if you ever come over to my house, as long as you just don't look at the floor, don't look under the table. Right, because that's like my storage area is under my table. Right? I mean, every inch is important. Also, well, that's a really good point, Scotty. I don't know that I really even paid attention then to see oh my gosh, the paper, everybody. Oh, the paper. I'm very thankful. My town has a very, very responsible recycling program. So I'm very thankful for that. Yikes. Oh my goodness gracious. This binder's on. Yes, there you go. I have mad respect then for that. Absolutely. We have hush puppies. Sweet. Oh. Well, you know what I mean, right? I mean, come on. Their sturdy table's great. Well, absolutely, Navy Vet, absolutely. I have one space that is clear, and that is under our stairs in the basement because we do get tornadoes. So that's one space that's got nothing in it except for like a little lamp, like the weather radio. Huck framed it. Oh, I know that he. Oh my gosh! Of course, I know it's fantastic. I thought about it. I paused when I saw that. I was like, "That looks really nice, Huck. Maybe I should do that." But I don't know. I have so much stuff hanging around, so I don't know if my spouse would be, my significant other would be okay with that. He already has to like kind of duck and dodge around through all of the other stuff. Oh, yes, I agree. Lawfare is a political strategy term. It's really, yeah, I know. They can only have power when we give it to them. So we just have to be like, no, you need to buy. Oh my gosh. Well, Andy, I tell you what, I have even my in-laws have been giving me filing cabinets. I had a neighbor, my neighbor was like, who hears me out on the porch whenever I'm out there doing and recording the TikToks, and they're like, "You need another filing cabinet." I was like, um, sorry, am I too loud? Oh my gosh, I don't know where I'd put it. Filing cabinets don't fit under table, right? Oh, thank you for great. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet, Shell. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I've got to reorganize everybody. I'm getting everything's going so fast. Like I haven't even had a chance to change my toner yet. Oh my God, I do have toner. I don't need toner. I just need the time to change the toner. Oh my goodness. So yes, indeed. But with that, everyone, I'll need to close this down. Oh, it's always so fun to come and hang out and chat with everybody. I am coming back on tonight. I'm going live tonight at 7 o'clock, everyone, because no matter what happens, I don't care if any new indictments come down or not, we're going over this gag order request from Jack in Florida, everyone. We've got to do this. We got to do it. So I will be covering this tonight, no matter what, even if I have to use sign language. That's what we will do. Press on paper. Oh my gosh, I know, I know. 7 p.m. Central, exactly right. So we have, oh my gosh, look at this. Come on, how can we not go through this? Look at this. We've got exhibits. So it'll be very fun. I will be back. I promise, everyone. I will be resting my voice the rest of the day. All right, so for those of you that have been hanging out, now you know we do have another indictment on fake elector scheme out of, or not indictment, we've got a criminal complaint out of the fake elector scheme in Wisconsin. So if you hear more about it in the news, except CNN, you'll know what they're talking about. We will see more information as it comes down. So I will be back again later tonight, 7 o'clock, everybody, in order to read through this new gag order request. So have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. So take care. See you later tonight, everyone.